What's up guys, Kyle with HypertroFit and PectusWarriors.com here. Today we are going through some of the most common mistakes people are making when they're training when they have Pectus Excavatum. The most common thing that I see for anyone that I work with or come across with this condition is wanting to build up their chest, and I mean rightfully so. You've got this sunken chest and you want to do something about it. But the most common mistake that I see, and that's starting us off at number one here, is training your chest too much. You don't want to overdo this. See, with Pectus Excavatum, you've already got natural tendencies to be really tight through the chest, through the front delts, and that causes a rounding of the shoulders, especially with your posture. So a rounded shoulder profile, you may see somebody training like this that has those shoulders rounded forward, and if all you do is continue training your chest and just focus on that with no back work, you're going to be stuck with that terrible posture and actually limit your potential for growth. And not only that, you're going to make the pectus look worse. You're going to have more concavity here because everything's sloped forward, and that's going to lead to dysfunctional breathing and plenty of other issues that you just don't want to deal with. So how do you fix this? The key to any sort of plan when it comes to training with Pectus Excavatum is making upper back strength the absolute first priority of your plan. Your upper back needs to be the foundation of everything that you do. As your back gets stronger, that's actually what opens your chest up. So instead of having these rounded shoulders with everything sloped forward, a strong back pulls that and opens the chest, which actually just makes the chest look bigger on its own. And then you've got a solid foundation to actually build the muscles on top of that. So we're not saying don't train the chest at all, but it needs to be in balance, and you need to make upper back your first priority. Mistake number two is not following a training program. One of the biggest things I see with a lot of people that are brand new to the gym, whether they have Pectus Excavatum or not, is that they're just working out haphazardly. And in the beginning, you can do just about anything and make some progress, but as you start going through this process for more than 6 months or a year's time, you really need to have an idea of what you're doing every single time you step into the gym. So not going and maxing out every single week, or trying to just throw a little bit more weight on the bar and hit that 1 rep max. That's not where you want to be. And at the same time, you also don't want to be doing so much volume and so many different exercises that it's just leading to a bunch of crap. Like, if you're doing more than 3 or 4 exercises for the same body part in one training session, I can almost guarantee you that half of the work that you're doing is not being done at the standard that it should be. And the majority of that time that you're spending in the gym is just going to be wasted and even negatively impacting your recovery. When we're trying to grow and build muscle through the chest, through the shoulders, and anywhere in the body, we want to stimulate and then let the recovery process take place. So by following a real training program, you'll be able to know how much volume to follow, what exercises to perform, how to progress from week to week, and give yourself a runway. You never want to start at the very top limit of what you can do, because then you've got no room to go. You should probably be aiming for that first week of your strength training plan to feel pretty explosive, to feel like you've still got some in the tank. If you're grinding through everything in the first week, then you're way too high in the weights, or the reps are off, or just something's not right. So make sure that you find a plan to follow. You can use something that I've provided, whether that's joining the Pectus Warriors program for free down below. You can get in for the first couple weeks just to check it out, or any other strength-based program. It doesn't have to be some crazy scheme, but you want to have a specific plan that you're following and can follow up with week after week to make sure you're seeing progress. Mistake number 3 is too much emphasis on the barbell bench press. Yeah, it's an amazing exercise, and we are absolutely going to include it in the program because it's great for increasing strength and one of the main pressing movements that there is. But for overall volume and the majority of the exercise that we're going to want to do for the chest, you're actually going to want to use more dumbbell work, because you're going to find that by not having your hands fixed in the same place like a barbell forces you to, you're going to be able to recruit your chest to a much greater degree, because your arms are going to be allowed to move in whatever range of motion makes the most sense for your body and structure. There are some people that can benefit really, really well from the barbell bench press, but for most of us, the dumbbells are actually going to be a lot more useful tool in this regard. And so for me personally, for pressing exercises, I can feel my chest activate significantly more in the top 3/4 of the range of motion. My arms are fairly long, so as I start to get lower and lower and lower, my shoulders start to take over a lot of that workload. So for me, a lot of the pressing work that I'm doing is actually in that more top 3/4 or even top half range of motion for the volume stuff. Now, more of the strength work, I do like to go through that fuller range of motion so that I can work every aspect of the muscle fiber, but when I'm really just trying to hammer home on the pecs specifically, that's where I'll play with the range of motion itself. And beyond just barbells and dumbbells, the other aspect of this that we want to look into is the actual angle that you're pressing at. One quick drill that you can do right now to figure out what's the best angle for your presses for pec recruitment is by simply squeezing your arms together so you feel your chest activate right in here, and then starting at the bottom, slowly move your arms up until you no longer feel that tension in your chest, because it'll start to slide up into your shoulders. And then experiment with where in this range of motion you can get the most chest activation, because that is the angle that you want to spend the most of your time. You'll still want to work through some incline work, some flat work, various declines and whatnot, but whatever angle allows you to get the most chest recruitment is where you should be spending the majority of your time training. Mistake number 4 is not stretching. And I'll be the first to admit that I've been terrible at this, but there really is a good reason for stretching more than just being flexible and being mobile. If muscle growth is your goal, then you want to be able to move your body through its fullest range of motion possible. And one of the things that you want to pay attention to is your body's active range of motion. And what I mean by that is where you can actually feel a muscle group working through the portion of the exercise that you're executing it through. So for me, when I tend to do a lot of bench work, I'll tend to maybe even shorten the range of motion to the top 3/4 of the movement, not with the barbell, because you need to bring that all the way to your chest when you're performing strength. But when we're doing any sort of dumbbell work or cable work, a lot of times I'll emphasize more of that top portion of the movement, because my active range of motion in my chest tends to be in those ranges. Whereas if you're more mobile and that active range of motion where you can feel the chest work is deeper and can go further, then you're going to have a lot better joint health, you're going to have a much greater potential for strength, and being able to work the muscle belly through its fullest range of motion allows for more muscle growth. So you should be starting every single workout with some sort of dynamic warm-up, something that allows your body to get prepped and ready for movement, and isn't necessarily any sort of static stretching, but taking your body through different ranges of motion and getting prepared for lifting. Then at the end of the workouts, that's where you can introduce some static stretching. So holding positions and stretching the muscles that you just trained in the session, starting at around 30 seconds per movement and holding that, and then over time working your way up to around 2 minutes is going to be in your best interest to really stay mobile, increase that active range of motion, and allow your body to move the way that it's supposed to. And our final mistake to cover today is nutrition, or specifically not eating enough. If your goal is to build muscle, build up your chest, change your physique, then you need to be eating to do that. I can't tell you how many people with Pectus I talk to that are trying to do these things and just quite frankly don't eat enough. And one of the first things that I'll hear is that, oh, my metabolism's super fast. And then we go into their day and really dig into what they're typically eating and come to find out that, yeah, while they might have a couple slices of pizza during the day and some ice cream at night, they're hardly eating anything, maybe 1,200, 1,300 calories in the day. And really, if muscle growth is your goal, you want to be consuming a bare minimum of 15 calories per pound that you weigh. So if you're a 150-pound individual, that 15 calories per pound would put you at 2,250 calories for the day as a whole. And again, this is just a basic starting point, kind of as like a minimum. And the next thing to pay attention to beyond the calories is your protein intake. And this is very simple to figure out as well, in that you just want to eat as many grams of protein as pounds that you weigh. So for that 150-pound individual, you'd be looking at 150 grams of protein per day. So 2,250 calories, 150 grams of protein. If you're following that, you are miles ahead of most people. And there is merit to going into figuring out where your carbs and fats should be relative to the overall calories, but you don't need to start with that. And again, your calories will likely even need to be higher than this. This is a starting point. So if you run this for a week and your weight stays pretty stable, you can bump things up 300-400 calories and keep going until you find that place where you're able to maintain around a 1 to 2 pound weight gain per week on average, because that is the state that you need to be in to grow serious muscle mass and really be able to transform your physique. So those are the 5 mistakes for today. I hope you guys found this useful and can begin applying this to your training. Be sure to check out all of my links and info in the description below. You can sign up for the Pectus Warriors Trials, the program that I have that in full actually encompasses over a year's worth of training programs designed specifically for Pectus Excavatum, whether you are prepping for surgery, recovering from it, or not having it at all. I also have the Pectus Handbook down there, which you can download completely for free, which goes a lot more in depth on what pectus is, how do you treat it, what types of exercises and nutrition strategies can you employ. So a lot of things that we covered here, but it'll take things even more in depth. And I really hope you guys enjoyed. So if you've got any other questions, feel free to reach out to me on any social media or directly through my website. And I look forward to talking with you guys again very soon.